Ladies and gentlemen, we have one of my longtime friends, Mrs. Kemesha Bowen Jenkins, owner of Hem It Up, custom bridal, custom formal and bridal alterations in the Knoxville, Tennessee area. So today's video, we're going to talk to Kemesha about what you brides need to know, how to prepare for your wedding, and some tips and tricks on dress hunting in general. So first we're going to start off with, let's get to know Kemesha. Kemesha, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am Kemesha Bowen Jenkins. I am the owner of Hem It Up, custom bridal and formal alterations. I have been doing this for 20 plus years in the Knoxville area.
Okay, so what started you in this industry? What made you start at this from the very beginning?
So I didn't grow up thinking that I would be sewing because I don't come from that. So I just kind of fell into it in college. I've always been good with my hands, and I think I took one of those like home ec classes in the 8th grade or something like that. And that was my first introduction to sewing. So I didn't grow up doing it. When I was in college, one of my friends had a sewing machine that she just had.
Okay.
And I was always doing alterations by hand for myself and for friends.
Okay.
And she asked me if I wanted to use it because she wasn't using it, and I was like, sure. So I started using it, and the rest is history.
Oh, wow.
I was doing free alterations, of course, for all of my friends in college because nobody had any money to pay anything. So
free 99.
And so after that, I once I graduated from UT, I got engaged, and I did the dresses and all of that stuff for my wedding. And then I did dresses for a friend's wedding who got married 2 weeks after I did. And then from there, I was just.
So were you not like stressed doing your own and then turn around and doing somebody else's? Because that would be stressful to me.
I mean, I was pretty much done with my stuff. It was stressful doing her stuff because it was just so close together. And she had so many more people than I did. And it was my first time doing a large group like that.
Yeah.
Because my wedding was she had like 12 people and I had like 6.
Yeah.
So it was like double the amount of people. But no, other than the time frame, no, I wasn't stressed doing the dresses. But.
So fun fact, y'all, Kemesha did all of my bridesmaids' dresses and the alterations to my wedding gown, and she has made some lovely custom pieces for me, some really cute skirts. A couple of them I can't fit into anymore, but
all right.
So there's that. But no, so okay, so what made you decide that you were going to focus in on specifically bridal?
So I didn't, so of course I started off doing everything. Like I was doing home deck, I was doing basic alterations, hem and jeans, pants, whatever. And even after I had done my wedding and my friend's wedding, I still didn't think, and I had made several bridal gowns for friends over the years. And it wasn't until I started, I was called by one of the local bridal stores, and they needed a seamstress. And I was just kind of like, okay, let me go see what they're talking about. And so I went over there, and I just kind of fell into it, really. I was just like, sure. I wanted to do something different. And so even though we were independent, I didn't technically work for the store. We kind of set our own hours and did all that kind of stuff. But I just wanted to see how it would go. And once I got into that, it was just like, this is my lane. I love it.
Yeah.
Because I love a challenge.
Yeah.
I don't like doing simple stuff. I love the challenge of trying to figure out how to get this thing done and get it done and make it look really good. Like you can't tell it was altered. So so I like the challenge of that. And I've been doing just straight bridal for 20 years.
That's awesome.
Yep. So
I didn't know it was that long, but that's awesome, Kemesha.
Yeah, because I worked I was at the bridal store for 19.
Right.
And I've been here for a little over a year.
Here. Okay. Awesome.
But just straight bridal.
Right,
I've
yeah,
been
straight
sewing
right.
20 plus.
20
but
plus,
just
straight
straight
bridal.
bridal. I was.
That is a
20 years.
long, healthy career in bridal.
Yeah. And I'm a master tailor, so I was tailoring.
Y'all heard that right. She just let me throw that out there for you. I am a master tailor.
So,
for those of you who didn't hear her drop that nugget.
Yeah. Oh,
okay. So, what should brides look for when they're shopping for a wedding gown? Should they also, like, while they're shopping for their gown, consider about the train and how those things, you know, like, what elements should they take in consideration?
So, I mean, I would suggest when shopping for a gown, you shop based. So many times we brides get into this, I'm going to buy this dress and then I'm going to lose weight or I'm going to do all.
Right.
I shop for how you are now.
For right now.
For right now. So
right.
Get your proper size. Get a dress that's going to be flattering on you at
right.
that size.
Right.
Factor in, you know, the train length. What are you going to be doing for your reception? Do you have an active reception or are you going to be just a sit down dinner? Or
that's a
no
good
dancing or anything like that, because that's going to determine, or factor in the size of the dress too, because all of that would determine how practical that dress is going to be for the reception. And if the reception is a big part of the wedding,
right,
then you're going to have to factor in the practicality of the dress. Because dresses are I tell brides all the time, these dresses are very beautiful,
right,
but they're not very practical.
I'm glad you said that. And I never thought about like dropping that about the reception, because I never thought about that when I was getting my gown. Like, am I going to be up, dropping and popping, or are we just going to be kind of casually greeting folks? Or, you know, do I plan on sitting the entire time? Do I want a dress I can actually sit down and enjoy my meal in? So
yeah, I get lots of brides that come in and they want the fit and flare, which is fitted and then it flares out at the bottom and it's real fitted. Well, that's great. I mean, that's great if you're just going to be walking around greeting people. But if you're going to dance, if you're going to have an act, when I say active reception, that means dancing, you know, moving around, you know, the logistics of it. How are you going to get around? And if you can't sit in it, I mean,
we have a problem.
Then we have a problem.
Yeah.
Now, if you're okay with that, then good. Right. If you don't mind to stand up the whole time,
standing for 12 plus hours.
Yeah. Then that's fine. That's up to you. It's your day. But it's just, you kind of have to factor in the reception, because I understand the ceremony is where you get all the photos. But if you're gonna stay in the dress throughout the reception, then you have to factor that into. You have to take that into consideration. So. Right. So I think a lot of girls just don't.
They don't think about that part. I never thought about it until you just mentioned it.
Now, a lot of girls will change into a different dress, a more comfortable dress, but not everybody can afford to do that. And not everybody wants to do that. Some people, you know, you spent thousands of dollars on a dress, you kind of want to wear it.
I'm going to wear it to the buttons fall
off.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, if you can't afford to change into a different dress for the reception, then you just have to factor in all of that before buying your dress. Yeah.
I hope y'all listen to that, because that's very good advice. I never consider that.
Yeah. And most girls don't. They
you fall in love with the dress when you walk in, and you're just thinking, this is what you imagine yourself walking down the aisle in. You don't imagine yourself at your reception, you know, coming in. Like, you don't think past that. You just think.
And you have to be in this dress for hours. Because if you're going to wear the same dress throughout the whole day, then you have to factor in, you have to take pictures before, you may start taking your pictures 2 or 3 hours beforehand. And then so you have to go all that time, you have to go through the ceremony, and then you have to go, 4 hours through the reception. So that's a long time to be in a dress. So,
it sure is.
I mean, you got to factor in, go into the restroom. I mean...
how accessible do you want that to be for you, lady?
I mean, they have all kinds of contraptions that you can order online now that helps you lift it up. But
so
if you have if you have a fitted dress, that's hard to do. Sometimes you have to get out of the whole dress to use the restroom. Or if you have a big dress, you have to take a couple of people in there with you
hold
it up. So, you know, because you may not fit in the stall. So.
Yeah. I will say, I'm thankful in the 10 plus years of doing this, nobody's asked me to go to the restroom with them to hold up their dress.
Yeah.
Not that I wouldn't do it, but I'm thankful, like, y'all know there's a line. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure some bridesmaids have gone.
Ask your maiden matron of honor and your mama. That works.
Yep.
Okay, so we've talked about what people should kind of consider and think about when they're making that initial purchase of their gown. Mm-hmm. What should they expect as far as alterations, that timeline of, wait, hold on, let me even back up then. Okay, so right now, some wedding boutiques are still experiencing delays in shipping because of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So I know personally, I have been telling brides, like, don't wait until the last minute because we're still dealing with the residuals from that.
Yes.
And there's still shipping delays and manufacturing delays. So if you can get on it as quick as you can. So at least ensure that your dress is here.
Yeah.
Now, for alterations, what is a time frame that people should be aware of? Because sometimes I don't think brides are aware. They think they can go in and get the alterations and it happens same day. And I'm like, no, that doesn't happen. So what can you tell the brides about alterations and expectations when it comes to that?
So I generally recommend, I'm sorry, I didn't hit the mic. I generally recommend scheduling your first fitting 3 months out from your wear date.
Okay.
Which means that's the day you're going to be putting it on.
Right.
So, or I shouldn't say wear date. From the date you're needing it. Because some brides have destination wedding.
Right.
So their date may be October 15th, but they may need the dress by the 10th because they got to leave.
Right.
So the from the 3 months from the time you need it.
Okay.
And if you're doing custom work, which means I'm adding sleeves, I'm filling in a neckline, I'm doing some extra stuff, then I recommend scheduling further out because we might have to order fabric, we may have to order buttons to put down the back, or whatever we need to do. We may have to order that extra stuff, and we need time to do that, to get that in, and to do the work. Right. So yeah, I'd say 3 to 4 months out. Okay. Well, 4 months if you're having extensive alterations, but at least 3 months out. I mean, 2 months you can get it done if you're just doing basic alterations, but I just suggest doing it in enough time that gives the seamstress time to do what she needs to do, because keep in mind that she's dealing with other brides. Right. You're not the only one. Right. So when you have when you got 35 other brides on the same day as you, that it's hard to get it all done. So even with a team, it's hard. It's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot. So yeah, I recommend, and even bridesmaids, they tend to wait to the 11th hour. Okay. You need to be 4 to 6 weeks out. You need to be, and even more if you need extensive. Okay. So no, you can't wait 2 weeks before either, because we have other. There's a lot going on. So, just keep in mind that there's a lot of brides. There's a lot of bridesmaids getting married, and a lot of bridesmaids in weddings, and just be mindful of the time frame, because there's a lot. There's a lot, and there's a lot of other moving pieces outside of what that particular bride is doing. And make sure you're having all of your your shoes, your undergarments. Make sure to bring all of those things to the fitting, because they are important. Right. I don't care if you're wearing flats. Right. Bring them to the fitting, because I've had plenty of brides say, "I'm wearing flats." Well, that's that's not a clearly flat. 2 inches. So flat means flat, right? Like ballet flat, right? That's flat. Anything other than that is a heel. It may be a 1/2 inch, right? But we need to know that, because that's gonna be the determining factor of your hem.
Right.
So we need to know those things. And
Yeah.
some people may not want their feet to show, and some people may want their feet like you. So we need the shoes.
Right.
We need the undergarments that you're planning on wearing. If you're planning on wearing shapers or
You need to bring all that with you.
strapless bra, whatever. You need to. We need to have all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Because people forget to bring that.
And the same with bridesmaids, because we tend to focus on brides.
Right.
If they need all that, but everybody, bridesmaids, mothers of the bride, like
Right.
whoever needs to bring all of that. We
with
need
them.
all of the stuff
Right.
with you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that little nugget because I know they forget. Bridesmaids probably definitely forget because they probably don't think they need all of that.
They
and
don't think, yeah.
You know, but okay. Yeah. So bring those things with you when you're going to your alteration appointments.
Yep.
Now, for those brides that have a destination wedding and are traveling, how should they travel with their gown?
So I always recommend to my brides to carry it on.
Okay.
So I would never check. I don't even like checking my suitcases when I'm. So I would never check my bridal gown.
Right.
Like no.
So
carry it on. So sometimes when you have, like if you have a full ball gown, of course that's going to be a little challenging. But when you have a smaller gown, sometimes you can call ahead to the airline and there's a pilot's closet.
Right.
And they will sometimes let you hang it in the pilot's closet.
Okay.
Now, I think the kicker with that is that sometimes the pilot closet is not always in view where you can see. So it's like you're letting your dress go somewhere and you don't know what's going on with it. So if you're okay with that, then you can call ahead and see if they will allow you to hang it in the pilot's closet. But if they don't, or if you don't feel comfortable doing that, then I suggest buying a airline compliant garment bag that you can fold and carry as your carry-on.
Okay.
And then just carry it on with you.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't even think about the pilot's closet because it's always there. Like
I mean, it's a tiny little closet
it's
for
tiny,
that.
because I'm thinking like I've always seen that, and I see people like
but if you have a big ball gown, then of course that's probably not going to be conducive to that. But if you have a smaller dress that doesn't take up a lot of real estate, you can. They sometimes let you do that. But you probably need to call ahead to ask that just to be safe.
Okay. See y'all. Listen, I'm getting so much wisdom right now. I hope y'all are too, because this is meaty and it is good. So y'all, especially for like our clients, because 75% of our client base is out of state. It's not local to us here in Tennessee. And so I get those questions all the time. I'm like, I don't know. And then some of them are driving here. Some of them like to fly. So that's good. So I can kind of give some information back to them.
Well, even when driving, you know, if you're driving somewhere to get to like if it's a destination wedding, but you're driving, then you can't have like 50 zillion things. Like your car can't be stacked to capacity because you got to get the dress in there without damaging or whatever, or shoving it somewhere. So you want to be mindful of that too, not to bring on, because I've had plenty of brides pick up their dresses with chairs and everything else, and I'm like, well, okay, well, where's your dress gonna go? I just created this masterpiece, and now I got to throw it in there with the chairs. So it's like, be mindful of when you pick up your dress or when you're traveling with your dress in a car, not to have everything in the kitchen sink in there with the, or have a spot for the dress that you can hang it and lay it across something, as opposed to kind of shoving it in somewhere.
I did have a couple of brides that were like, well, we're going to ship our dress to you. And I was like, no, you're not. I love you enough to tell you I don't want to be responsible for your gown, because if something was to happen, you're going to blame me, and I don't want to be blamed.
So, but it happens. Sometimes you have to send it off with somebody else, just because there's no other option. But anybody else but your wedding planner, preferably. No, listen, if y'all needed it, like really, like, okay, maybe I would consider it, but it still makes me a little nervous just to be responsible for somebody else's wedding gown. Because that's a big deal. It is.
So, okay, is there anything else you can think of that brides need to know, brides, bridesmaids, mother of the brides, mothers of the grooms who have their dresses need to know, be aware of when it comes to alterations and
I think we said a lot, but the one thing I think also that brides, bridesmaids, mothers, and all of everybody involved in the wedding party don't factor in is the cost of alterations.
there it is.
Alterations are they can be very expensive,
yeah.
just depending on what needs to be done to the dress.
Right.
So brides, especially when budgeting how much you're going to be spending on your gown, factor in the amount of alterations. And you may not, because we don't a lot of the times know how much it's going to cost.
Right.
I mean, there's a range,
right,
but all the dresses are different. So we can't know how much yours is going to cost. Or you could have the same dress as somebody, but that person may need
different than the next person.
Yeah, so it's kind of difficult for us to. I get a lot of brides calling and say, "Well, how much?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know until I see you in the dress, see what I need to do to it." However, the range is this right here. So you have to factor in the alterations cost when you're shopping for your gown, because it can get pricey. I mean, it can get really pricey, especially if you're doing custom work. Or especially if you have a lace gown and we got to take some lace off to hem it and do all of this stuff.
Right.
I mean, that can be pretty pricey because it's time consuming.
Right.
So I would just say factor, and even bridesmaids and stuff, factor in, when you agree to be in the wedding, you got to factor in. Like,
did y'all hear that? When you bridesmaids agree
to be in the wedding.
The wedding.
I mean, you may have a number in your head.
Right.
But the bride may have a number in her head,
right,
of how, like say, you see a bridesmaid's dress that you really, really like and you really want your girls to be in that dress.
Right.
And that dress may be $300.
Right.
Well, your alterations may be another $150, depending on how much work you're going to need or more.
Right.
Depending on how much work you're going to need. So you're out $500, so you have to think about that. And same with the brides. I mean, your dress may be $3,000, but then you may want to add some sleeves and all this other stuff, and you may be out of another $1,000 for alterations. So you have to factor
those costs in, those additional expenses, because you're right. Most people don't account for that when they're looking at a dress. They fall in love with the dress and they think, okay, this is it. Yeah. But that's not it. You got to think about, okay, the alterations are going to be expense. Your undergarments, the shapewear, the shoes, all of that be expense that has to be accounted for.
Yes.
So
and there's one more thing I wanted to say. Brides, you do want your dresses steamed. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That, I mean, I think everything looks better once it's pressed and steamed.
Yes.
Like I cringe sometimes when they're like, "No, I don't need it," and I'm like, "Yeah, you do." But okay.
Yes, you do.
You do, because it just makes everything look good,
crisp and fresh, and like you said, it just lays better when it's steamed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, Kemesha, thank you so much for your time. We are looking forward to many more videos with you all.
Yes.
We're going to put up Kemesha's information. She is on Facebook and Instagram. So follow her on both of those social media outlets.
Yes.
And thank you all. Hope you learned something today.
Thank you.